Hello friends, this is Neeraj. Today we are going to learn on how to install Ubuntu 16.04 over your system. You can also install the same thing not as a virtual machine, but you can also install the same thing. The steps will remain the same over your operating system. Also you can also install the same thing along with the Windows operating system. You can do a lot of things by these things. Fine, so this video might be helpful for you all people. For that, let me start from the beginning. I'm going to this dash menu and typing VirtualBox. So you can see over here VirtualBox has been already installed in my last video also. After that, I'm going to click on new. On new, it says that what should be the name of the operating system. I am writing it Ubuntu 16.04. as in when you start typing, it starts selecting its type and versions automatically. By default it says that it's 64-bit version, but if you want, you can install 32-bit version also. These many distros are right now supported. Fine, but if some of the distros are not listed over here, you can select this, any one of them, other, or you can select Debian or 2.4 Linux or whatever you like it. Fine, but right now it's available, so I'm going to use for 16.04. I'm going to turn expert mode on because I want to show it to you certain functionalities that it's available over here. Fine, it says that what should be the memory size. That memory size actually is for the RAM itself. Total I have 4 GB of RAM, so it's saying me you can assign 4 MB to 4 GB of RAM, but by default it has given me the some recommendation that at least 768 MB should be there. This recommendation might vary from system to system, but for now I'm going to give it for 1 GB a try. There are 3 types of hard disks that are available. One is do not add virtual hard disk, the another one is create a new hard disk, or the third one is if you are having a virtual hard disk available, you can select the same also over here. Fine, right now I do not have any of the virtual hard disk. I'm going to create one. Fine, so it's going to get created. Now it's asking me create a virtual hard disk. Find the hard disk location. I can change it from here. If you want to install somewhere else, say for example, if I want to install from file systems and go to OPT, and I want to install it over here, then I can install it. But OPT right now is write protected from my side, so I'm not going to install it over here. I'm going to install it to the default location, and my default location is home. And here some of the VirtualBox virtual machines, this folder is automatically created. Fine, it will install it over here itself. Fine, in this folder, so let it be over there itself. Fine, I'm going to assign 12 GB of my hard drive. Going to install VDI format. There are these types of formats also available. You can select any, but I would recommend this one because I think that virtual disk image is quite easier to handle. You can also select VHD format also. This is also quite a good one. Fine, also it asks me that what is do you want to have a physical hard disk as a dynamically allocated or fixed size. I would recommend to go for dynamically allocate, because if for some reason in the near future if you want to install some of the softwares which are having greater than 12 GB of data along with your OS, then it might happen that you need to dynamically allocate so that your softwares might get installed. But if you go for fixed size, then also it doesn't matter, but your hard disk size will be limited but cannot be extended then after. Fine, so for time conveniency I'm going for dynamically allocated one. Fine, after it gets done, I'm going to start it for a moment. Fine, and okay, so here we go. For that you need either ISO file, or you can also install from the CD drive. Fine. So I do not have CD drive right now present over here, so I'm going for ISO file. ISO file are slightly faster than CD, so I would recommend it. You can also install it from ISO file. How did I got this message? ISO file is from here. I inserted my hard disk over here in USB port. Here is my hard disk. I went to Linux OS. These are the Linux versions that I actually downloaded for my study purpose. Here it's Ubuntu 16.04 AMD 64-bit version. I'm going to select it for the same. You can see the size is 1.5 GB. The entire downloaded versions can be it can be downloaded from Ubuntu website itself. Fine. After this things gets over, you can see over here. Just a second. Okay, fine. You can start your OS. It says that it's booting. You can read this entire message that you can capture the clicks and everything, but right now I'm going to ignore it for some time. Fine. So here you can see that entire operating system is getting loaded over the virtual machine. The same thing will happen when you are going to install this OS over the live PC, that is as a host PC. Fine. Over here you can see it's getting installed step by step. You can try Ubuntu or you can install it from here. I would recommend that let's try for a second, because it's important to try the distro that you are going to install. Fine. So it's going to load it once again from the bottom. Wait, we can wait for some time. Fine. Okay, so let me close. Okay, these things over here. Just a second. Okay, so let's see how it's there. These are the softwares that are actually installed right now. You can try it one by one if you wish, but if you do not want to try it, or if you want to see what's on the disk or something like that, then you can also analyze your disk. You can create a startup disk if you want. By this software you can actually create your pen drive as a bootable one. You can also view your disks, you can view your files if you want to take a backup before you can start installing your Ubuntu, because backup is also one of the things that I would recommend it. Fine, I'll show it everything that I could actually in this video. Fine, but right now I'm going to install it. Fine. The same steps will be applied if you want to install directly to your operating system, to your computer itself. Fine. It's asking me for English version. Which version do you want to install it? I would recommend it for the English version. Fine. When I click on next, I'm not going to download all these things because it might take some of more time for me to get downloaded all these things, so not going to install it. But I would recommend, if you want, you can click on this links, you can click on this checkbox and download it. I would strongly recommend it. Fine. Click on continue. It says erase disk and install Ubuntu. It says encrypt. It says use LVM partition or something else. Fine. Mind well, if you click on this saying the entire hard disk will be wiped out. Right now I'm going to install as a virtual hard drive, so I will not be having any of the problem. But if I install on a raw hard disk which is having already Windows or any other operating system installed, it might happen that you might lose your data permanently. So I would not recommend this option to get done. I would recommend you to install by something else. Fine. for security reasons. Right now if I want it, I can install it by erase disk and Ubuntu, because right now I have just assigned 12 GB of my data to it. But for other sake, I would go for this one. Fine, so let's go for this one. Fine. Okay, so here you can see that I am having 12.9 GB of data. Fine, that's assigned to it as a virtual hard drive. Even if it gets what we say formatted, my 12.9 GB of data will only get formatted, and none of the other things will be affected. My operating system, this is my host operating system, will not be affected much. Fine, this is my host operating system, which is having approximately these types of files. Fine, and this is my guest operating system, which is having another operating files. Fine, so even if it gets formatted, I will not have any of the files deleted from my host operating system. Fine, let's start with this one, new operating system. I'll show it to you how to format the hard drive and also create some of the partitions. It says you need to current partition and whatever. You can read this error. I will continue it. Fine, it says 12 GB of the partition is free. Now I click on plus. First of all, I will create approximately 500 to 800 MB of partition for booting processes. Fine, it should be a primary one if you wish. Fine, it depends on computer to computer also. Right now I'm going to install it with primary partition. The second partition is over here, is free space. Again, I'll create a second partition as a it depends on the RAM. Fine, the second step is for, say for example, let me calculate it and show it to you. Calculator. Fine, say for example you are having 4 GB of RAM. Fine, 4 GB of RAM. Fine, then you must install 1.5 GB. That's 1.5 times the RAM, that is 6144 MB of your space should be allocated for as a swap partition. I would recommend for 1.5 times, because it might happen that you need some hibernating functions or suspending functions, just like in Windows itself. So it is very recommended that you install it in the multiple of 1.5 the RAM. Fine, right now I am having 4 GB of RAM, so I may have 6144 MB of swap partition. So in that context, if I want to install, say for example, just a second. Okay, if I want a root partition, fine, so actually I am having this much space left, 12085 minus 6144. So this will give me approximate what we call as approximate partition table for it. Fine, for that I will go for 5941 partition, but it's very less, I would say. Okay, let's see. 59. Okay, just a second. I will install right now as a 1024 MB as a swap partition, but I would recommend it to go for approximately 4 GB or more than that as a swap partition. I will install that as a primary location. Fine, I would recommend it. If it's not possible, then leave it as it is, I don't mind. Go for the rest of the partition as a root partition. Fine, here you can see its swap partition is listed over here, and ext4 version journalism file system, this is just the same as NTFS partition, FAT32 partition and all the file systems, but Linux supports ext3, ext2, ext4 partitions also, so I would recommend it for the same. ext4 is quite good for in the same context. Now this is an important step. fine. If you forget it, there might be some trouble while installing dual operating system on your PC. That is, if you want Windows over Linux, then you must select this partition. Fine. Device for bootloader installation, I would recommend it that device SDA1 is a boot partition. Do not use this partition as a, because it might happen that you might lose your Windows bootloader also. So I would recommend it dev SDA1 as a partition, and then I click install. Let's see what happens and continue. Wait for some time for it gets formatted for some time. Okay, so in the back end you cannot see, but right now in the back end it's getting installed also. Fine. Continue. I can write it anything anywhere. Right now I'm staying in India, so I'm going to select India as my home country. Fine. And then here it asks me which keyboard layout. Okay, sorry, actually I stay in India, so I will select India. I stay in Gujarat itself, Rajkot. Fine. So you can click anywhere in India, I don't mind, but it's going to say for Kolkata. Even if you say for example, if you are living in United States or Africa or somewhere Australia, you can select the time zone relevant to you. Fine. Click on next. Now I'm going to select Indian language, India, and Indian English with rupee sign, because I've stayed in India. Fine. If you want English language, you can select the English language. Fine. Click on continue. It is asking me about the internet. Sorry, not internet, but it's asking me about, okay, my registration things. So let's see, Neeraj. Fine. It's virtual machine. Let me keep it very small. VM. This is my computer name. Fine. And typing the password whatever you like. I recommend that you type some password for sudo. Fine, so that you can use it for in the later version. Remember that this is an administrator or super user account. Fine, so you need to also do the same. You can also require my login password to login. Require my password to login, or you can also select login automatically, whichever is recommended. I would not recommend encrypt my home folder, because it might be sometime cumbersome to recover your data if it's in the home folder, and your system might get crashed sometime. But if you wish, you can also encrypt your home folder. I don't say no. So you can see over here it's installing the entire system, and the log has been generated over here. If you click over here, it's going to show it to you. Okay, so I'm going to pause for some time so that it gets installed, and then I'll let you know once it gets installed. Okay, so I think it's getting installed and the packages are already installed. For that, let me just make you revise certain things. That if you are connected to internet, it might download some of the language packages. Say for example, I clicked on Indian languages, that Indian English. It's getting downloaded some of the language packages from the internet itself. So it saves me approximately 36 to 40 minutes. It's going to wait for downloading. Fine, but before that it gets download the packages. Let me revise some of the things that you need to create a partition. I just wrote it all these just for you people. If you do not understood my entire conversation, then you can see it over here, that if you want to create some partition, this is approximate size 800 MBs for boot partition. Fine. You can also create 500 MBs of the partition. I don't mind. The swept partition should be 1.5 times of your RAM. In this video I just created swept partition of 1 GB only, but actually I had to create 6144 MBs of swap partition for easy and recommended things. But if you do not having if you are not having good hard disks or very less memory on your hard disk, you can go for one time the RAM, that is approximately 4 GB of swap partition at least. Fine. You can also go for zero point 0 times of the RAM. It depends on your configuration. Fine. But I would recommend it to go for 1.5 times RAM. Fine. You can also go for 1 times RAM or 0.5 times RAM. Fine. But this one is recommended. If it's possible, you should do this one. Fine. Also, it depends on the server to server, PC to PC, client to client, and also according to your needs. Fine. Some of the servers also need 10 times also the swap partition, because they are having a very large cumbersome data to be processed, not just by the RAM also but by the hard disk itself, because some of the servers are so much highly dense that it needs to have some space. So it might be happening that it use a swap partition as a RAM partition and process the entire thing. Okay, so it might take some more time for me to download. It says approximately 24 to 25 minutes of time to get downloading. So just right now I'm going to pause it for some time. Okay, so here you can see the entire stuffs. I just disabled my internet connection from here so that it gets everything working very fine and very fast. Actually, it might not take even 20 minutes to install it over your PC, but because I was having enabled my internet, it got slightly more time. Fine. Do not worry about the drivers and everything. Ubuntu operating system might have inbuilt drivers installed for you all people, but if your your PC is having a very older version of hardware, then it might happen that you need to download your drivers for the same. But if your hardware is very recent and very good, it will install all your softwares also along with your hardware that is actually available on the installation scripts. You can see everything is getting installed, and some of the things that are recommended are also been removed, and everything whatever is recommended by the OS is getting done by it. And this is the log that is generated. Waiting for some more time to get installed very fast. Do not also worry about the removing stuff, because it's doing its duty on how to install everything over your PC. This is a very important step, that it's now installing boot drive also over Linux. Fine. This step will also define that your boot is going to be dual boot or single boot or something else, whatever you like. Fine. Not going to disrupt any of the moments. Meanwhile, if you want to enjoy musics or something, then you can also play with Totem Player. Fine. This is very good video player by which you can also watch movie while your operating system is getting installed, or while some of the things are getting downloaded. Fine. Also, you can try or do your regular work, that is LibreOffice. You can also write some emails, you can also do some mathematical works, you can also create some spreadsheets or whatever you like if you are doing certain parallel works, then you can also do the same. You can also surf over the internet if you are connected to the internet. Fine. So unlike Windows operating system, if you are a parallel worker, they won't allow you, they won't stop you from doing your work also. This is because, say for example, in Windows, if you are installing some of the contents, then it may happen that you need to install all the softwares and everything, but in this way it's done. You can do your work, you can do everything. You can, here it says that if you want to finish, installation has finished, if you want to continue testing, you can click on continue. But right now I have just installed the entire operating system. I'm going to install, restart my virtual OS. Fine. The same step will appear in if you are installing not virtually but on a real host system. Fine. Okay, so let's see what's going on. Just a second. Okay, so let's see what's going to be happen if I install. Do not worry about these messages are just for startup only. Fine. Let's see. Okay, it says installing done, and you can close this thing. Okay, Eureka, here you go. 123 is my password. Oops, I just spoke it by my mouth. You need to wait for some time for it gets loaded the entire screen. Fine, and here you go, the entire virtual installation as an guest OS has been established. Fine, we will use this guest OS in the future versions also in my another videos. Fine, for now I'm going to close my session. Thank you all for watching and being patient. If you are having query, just mail me. My email ID is just wait a second, let me type it for you people. Tutorials great @gmail.com. Thank you all, thank you very much for watching.